But Rob, you mentioned it at the end of last hour. We're going to talk some Aaron Rodgers. Big year for him and the Jets. Expectations are sky high in New York. Some people thinking that the Jets could win, Rob. It sounds crazy. It's hard for me to even say. But win their first Super Bowl since 1969. How long is that? That is 54.
They haven't won a Super Bowl,
years.
right? Since Moby Dick was a guppy. I mean, come on, Chris.
I knew that was coming.
You knew that was coming. You're going to miss that.
Louisiana Purchase.
That's right. You're going to miss that stuff.
I heard that enough.
No. I'm going to tell you, you're going to be at dinner at some fancy restaurant in Manhattan or whatever, spending $200 on a meal, and you're going to be like, you know what? I could be on the radio with Rob right now, and he could be telling me jokes, and I'm doubled over.
About Moby
Dick was a guppy.
I heard Moby Dick was a guppy 2,782 times in our 6 years together. I heard the Louisiana Purchase 1,341 times.
My goodness.
What else was there? What was another one of your go-tos?
I never listened to the Gilbert Arenas show. I never listened to it.
That was I never missed.
Right.
The show. That one I heard 18,948 times. So I will. I've got my fill. Believe me.
But you like that one though, right? No?
Yeah. Oh, they all were funny, and that one was definitely good. That's definitely
good. Everybody got into that one.
Yes. But all right. So Aaron Rodgers, of course, Rob. We talked about it, big year for him with the Jets. And Bill Belichick, look, isn't it interesting? I want your take on this because Bill Belichick is doing podcasts. He's doing TV. He's all over. And this is a guy that wouldn't give the media,
Chris, this is not even a shock to me.
Go ahead.
This
happens all the time, doesn't it?
This is what happens all the time. The worst people with the media when they need a gig, all of a sudden
and he don't even need a gig.
But you know what I mean. Like, they need to be relevant. He needs to stay relevant. And going away or not talking or whatever, like, that's not going to help him. So all I'm saying is, I remember this. Rob Dibble, who's the closer for the Reds, was terrible with us, Chris. Terrible with the media. Guess what Rob Dibble wound up doing post-career? Having a sports talk radio show, of all things. Right?
It happens all the time.
I'm just saying, it does. It's amazing.
To me, and I'm just going to keep it real, it's hypocritical.
Go ahead. I want to hear this.
It's just hypocritical. If you value the media, which you do if you're working in the media, then why treat them with disrespect?
Right.
Why treat them with disrespect? Now, I guess, and I don't know what Belichick's going to be doing, and he's not the only one, but, he may not be interviewing players, Rob, or doing a lot of interviews. He's not going to obviously be doing real journalism.
No.
But still, it's just respect the media. And I say this all the time, Rob. And I don't want to overstate our importance, but, journalism is important because that's how you get the truth. That's one of the great things about our society is the journalist,
Chris,
can report, right? And, Watergate, Spygate, we can go on and on, Rob.
You would hate to live in this country without the media.
Absolutely. You look at certain countries where the media
has
is
handcuffed by
the government.
Yeah, 100%. And that's why whenever I hear people, are we perfect, Chris? No, we're not perfect. Are there bad journalists? Yes. There are bad doctors. There are bad lawyers. Yep. They're bad everything, okay? So, yes, there are bad journalists. But let me tell you something. If you didn't have journalism and journalists, Chris, keeping an eye, watching the store, it would be a terrible place.
Absolutely.
Terrible.
Absolutely. No question. And the thing about us, though, too, Rob, and it's just the media in general, whether it's news, newspapers obviously aren't what they used to be, but magazines, the websites, the internet, TV, radio, podcasts even, these outlets are what make these athletes larger than life. and what enables them to make the tons of money that they do. Now, I'm not saying they're obviously great athletes in their own right, irregardless of us.
Right.
But I'm just saying we publicize them. And again, not just newspapers or websites, but television. That's media.
Right. It's all
we
media.
Publicize. Right. If these guys aren't on television, if people aren't talking them up and talking about every play and every touchdown and every loss
and that
and every
it matters,
game.
right.
We make it matter to the point that it does. And so that enables these guys to make the money that they make. So I'm just saying, and Rob, we you know this too. If you're an athlete, you can use the media to your benefit. Like you said, we're not perfect. We're human.
Right.
And when athletes treat you with respect and treat you right, they're going to get favorable coverage. Now, we'll be objective, most of us, but still, you're human, and human nature is like, you know what, that guy, he's been good to us. So it just softens things a little bit, when the guy is in trouble, or so to speak. So I just think it's interesting, Rob, that Bill Belichick is now doing so much media. It has so much to say.
It's funny to say. It really is. I'm with you.
So here he is, Rob, talking about the Jets.
The Jets are one of the hardest teams to prepare for from a skill standpoint because of Breece Hall, outstanding running back that has the ability to take the ball the distance. He's very good in the passing game. And defensively, you want to do everything you can to get the ball out of his hands and load the box. Problem is, if you load the box, you're singled out there on Wilson, and that's a tall order right there to deal with him in one-on-one coverage. And then his run after the catch is exceptional. And Aaron knows how to use them, and Aaron will know, where the defense is heavy and where they're light and be able to work the ball there. And they just need to solidify the consistency of the offensive line. But on paper, I think they have a good offense, and they're hard to defend with a good quarterback, a great wide receiver, and a great running back.
Where's the mumbling and the and the muffled talk and the short sentences and two-word answers that we heard for 25 years? Where's that, Chris?
It's right. Somebody who's
that?
known Belichick, worked with him, told me, and you may have heard this before, that Belichick's view was, if I'm winning, his approach to the media. If I'm winning, they can't hurt me.
No.
And if I'm losing, they, being the media, can't help me. So he had no use for the media. But I'll tell you this, Rob. I was in Cleveland. I was not a professional, I wasn't covering pro sports
right,
at that
you
time.
were covering high schools. I was covering high schools,
right. When he was coaching the Browns, and the media despised him. That's probably too strong, but couldn't stand him because, of his act. He wouldn't talk. He wouldn't give them anything. And then, of course, he benched the favorite son, Bernie Kosar.
That was a big deal, yep.
Right. And he may have been right because, Vinny Testaverde came in. But Rob, when it went bad for him, he just had no support whatsoever. And I actually thought, I think his last year there was a down year, but he kind of had them. I thought he was doing a good job toward the end, had a really good season with them. I think they won 11 games, but they turned on him. He had no support. You know what I mean? Once it was going bad, and obviously he was fired. But it's just, like we said. But let me ask you this: what do you expect from Aaron Rodgers this year and the Jets? Aaron Rodgers and the Jets.
I can't look down the road and say they're going to the Super Bowl or anything that crazy. What I do expect is for them to be 3 wins better than they have been at minimum. They won 7 games with no
10,
quarterback,
right?
Chris. I'm just saying at minimum. If they don't win 10 games, it's been a terrible season. Can I say that? I'm dead serious.
If they're
terrible.
Healthy, because and Belichick said it, and I've been saying it for months now. On paper, Rob, they look great. Their defense, you mentioned it. Last 2 years, they won 7 games
with no quarterback.
With arguably the worst quarterback play in the league.
No, without question.
Last year, they beat Buffalo, Houston, and Philadelphia with Zach Wilson playing quarterback. How that the defense never had a lead. They field position is poor. The offense isn't helping you at all, and they were able to win 7 games. So defensively, they're strong at every level. Back, secondary, linebackers, the front four. And then offensively, they did make a lot of moves. They got 4 new offensive linemen at least. 2 of them from Baltimore. They got Tyron Smith. You got Breece Hall, who is a good running back. Garrett Wilson's a fantastic receiver. Mike Williams from the Chargers is a very good receiver when healthy. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers. Like, on paper, Rob, they look good. The question really to me is, can they stay healthy? I do have them winning the AFC East. I'm with you. I don't have them getting to the Super Bowl. But I have them winning the division. And if Rodgers, I don't expect them to be MVP level Rodgers. But, Rob, if he's 85% of the MVP level Rodgers, I think he'll be somewhere in between that MVP and what he was his last year in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. And that, like you said, I mean, they had a 0, maybe a -1 at quarterback last year.
I'm serious. That's how bad it was.
7.
Right.
Right.
He doesn't have to be, Chris, 10 or 11.
Right.
For them to have some success. They just need to protect him, keep him upright, Chris, no injuries. And if they can do that, he'll be able with those weapons to do what he has to do. I'm not saying they're going to win anything. I really don't. I don't have that. Those kind of. I don't see that happening. But if somehow he got them to the Super Bowl, Chris, just his legend and what could possibly be, because you know that if you do something with a franchise that had never been able to do anything, it turns your whole legacy into a different direction. Would you agree with that?
Right. Absolutely. We say it all the time. What you do in New York is magnified, but positive or negative. If it's bad, it's going to be viewed as worse than it really is because it's in New York. If it's good, it's going to be viewed as better than it really is because it's in New York. If he were to get them to the Super Bowl or win it, Rob, and
win it would be right. We're not predicting. Win it would be.
Look at Joe Namath, and
Yep.
Joe Namath was great at that time, but Joe Namath was legendary.
No, he's always going to be right. Like, excuse me. What he did, Chris, beating the vaunted,
NFL.
like the Baltimore Colts. Are you kidding? You know the coach was of that team, Don Shula. Like, Chris, that was one of the all-time great moments in sports. That wasn't supposed to happen. He predicted it with writers, Chris, out at the pool at the hotel.
Yep.
In
the 70s, 80s, Rob, Joe Namath, it really didn't get much bigger than him.
Nope.
And
he was the big-time star. Him and Walt Clyde Frazier, they own New York, Chris.
Yep. I will say this, and I'm just throwing this out there. I think right now, Rob, you've got Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Joe Montana, kind of on a tier by themselves.
Yep.
Now, Brady, most people would have number 1, but fine. I'm just saying they're kind of on the tier. If Rodgers were to lead the Jets to a Super Bowl win, and whether it was this year or next year, if he were able to do that, I think the argument would be strong, Rob, assuming he played well, wasn't like a Peyton Manning situation.
Right.
The argument would be strong that outside of those 3, he's as good as anybody that's ever played. He's the best out. Now, I probably still would go Peyton Manning just because of the way he changed the game and all that. But the thing Rodgers would have over him, Rob, is assuming he played well in the Super Bowl, or at least even just played well that season. He wouldn't even have to have the greatest Super Bowl game. But Manning was not good his last Super Bowl win.
No.
Not just that game, but that season. Remember, he got benched.
He got benched for, what was that guy's name? Brock,
what was Osweiler?
Yeah. Right. He got benched for him, and then he looked like the Tin Man in the Super Bowl, Chris. What do you have, 110 yards or whatever?
I don't even know if he had 100 yards.
95 yards?
90 or something.
He was bad.
But that's the thing. So if Rodgers were to be a real, still a good player, and they won the Super Bowl, you know, some people would argue, obviously, he doesn't throw the interceptions. He's far fewer interceptions than Peyton had. Again, I still probably go Peyton, but you'd have an argument for Rodgers. There's no question. And doing it in New York with the Jets.
Yeah.
So this is a huge year for me. And I even throw this out, Rob. Does he have anything to lose? Because if he doesn't play well, you're just like, dude's 40. And he's coming off an Achilles injury. You can't take away what he did in Green Bay. So I don't even know. It's almost, most people would not say he's playing with house money, but I'm just saying he's got the built-in excuse, and it's a legitimate, or maybe it's more of an explanation if he doesn't play well. He's old, and he's coming off a serious injury. So he should be able to go out there and just play, footloose and fancy free, and we'll see what it does for the Jets.